Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 695, we're going to talk about Adrix and Nev, the Twincasters. That's right, we get a doubling season in the command zone. Kinda. Half of a doubling season. That card that does tokens, I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, for 4 mana, we get 2/2 Merfolk Wizard. Ward 2. Now, Ward is their new thing that is kind of along the lines of Hexproof. Apparently, that was deemed too powerful. Okay. But Ward, whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, an opponent controls, they counter it unless that player pays 2. So there's Ward and then a value. That value could be mana, it could be life payment, it could be whatever they want that value to be. Anyway, if one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of these tokens are created instead. Now, we're going to be making tokens. Y'all know I typically don't do, like, I just did a Simic deck. The last deck I did was Simic, and this deck is Simic. And they have a lot of the same cards, because, you know, the good Simic cards are the good Simic cards. But they're the same but different. So let's start with our mana, shall we? We have Prismatic Lens, Simic Signet, Rampant Growth, Simic Cluestone, Simic Locket, Search for Tomorrow, Cultivate, Explosive Vegetation, Hunting Wilds, and Circuitous Route to get that mana up there, right? And I'm not done. Not done. Because I want to go down the first small rabbit hole that I went down. Because I was like, well, Farhaven Elf, I was going to go get that basic land out. Now, the basic lands are skewed, obviously, more forest than islands, because we can use the forest to go get the islands with stuff like Farhaven Elf. But I was like, the Elvish Mystic, Llanowar Elf, Finhorn Elves, those are good ramp spells on turn 1, right? So then I started looking. I was like, well, that's 4 elves. I mean, yes, that's only 4% of the deck, but I was like, well, I caught Elvish Promenade out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, I don't know that 4 is enough. The Huntmaster, you know, play an elf, get an elf. Elves are buy one, get one free. I like BOGO elves. So that's pretty neat. The Wolverine, because those are tokens. So now you're buying an elf, getting 2 elves free. What? The Wolverine Riders, part of that same Kaldheim Commander deck, at the beginning of each upkeep, create an elf. So now we get 2. Every single upkeep. Every opponent's 2. So, and, you know, whenever another elf enters the battlefield, you gain life equal to its toughness. So I was like, well, I had no plans to go down the elf rabbit hole, but I did. Now, granted, it didn't last that long. In that same deck, we got another instant version of the Elvish Promenade. It's going to create... We're going to triple up on our elves. Okay. Which led me to the Imperious Perfect, you know, because she makes a token, now 2. Voice of the Woods. Tap 5 elves to get a 7/7 elemental token. So now we're tapping 5 elves to get 2 elemental tokens. And then I just threw in the Elvish Archdruid because it's good with elves. Now, that's it for the elf package. Don't get me wrong, this is not an elf deck, but that was just where my mind led, and there was so many cards that dealt with elf tokens, and I know there's more, and we could go down that and do just a Simic elf token build with this, but that's not what I did. I did tokens of all kinds. I mean tokens of all kinds. So let's look at our token makers, right? We have Reef Worm. This thing gets out of hand. It is silly. Okay, so 4 mana. When it dies, you get a 3/3 fish. Okay? And that fish has, when it dies, get a 6/6 whale. And then that has, when it dies, you get a 9/9 kraken. Do you know how many creatures you're getting out of this? So when the worm dies, you get 2 fish. When each of those fish die, you get, assuming they both die, you get 4 whales. And when the 4 whales die, am I doing the math right? You get 8 krakens? Yeah, 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. What? I like Snake Basket. I really do. It's one of those things that you just, oh, look, I just happen to have a ton of mana. Blah. Snakes. Ant Queen. 2 mana, 2 insects. That's a mana per token. Repeatable. That is beautiful. How about Zendikar's Royal? How would you like to lay a land and get 2 2/2s? What? Okay. I'm down with it. Soul of Zendikar. Hydra Broodmaster. Sorry. It's just funny. Do have a lot of the new stuff. The Leyline Invocation with the fractal creatures. Mascot Exhibition. Yeah. I think the reason why this cost 7 is because they were thinking of this specific commander. Now, Manifestation Sage. Number of cards in your hand, you get that fractal. But I really want to talk about Sprout Swarm. Now, I do not have the doubling season or the, what is it? Is it Primal Vigor that does the tokens? I don't remember. If you've got those, that's awesome. Or maybe like the all spells cost 1 less, because there's a way here you can go infinite with Saproling tokens. Because Sprout Swarm, it's got Convoke and Buyback. So to do it all, it's 5 mana. To make a token and buy it back, you've got 5 mana. So, but in this deck, we're going to be making 2 tokens. So you can immediately use those 2 tokens to convoke this again. Now, it's not infinite here in this specific deck, but if that's your jam, you can totally do it, and it's an instant. So in response, I'm going to make 2 million Saproling tokens and block, or feed them to something, or whatever. Once you've got that, the world's your oyster. Because, who doesn't want infinite Saproling tokens, right? Garruk Primal Hunter. It makes 2 different kinds of tokens, and yeah, for each land you control. That's right down there, and some card draw. Rampaging Balos, a great card. Landfall again. Landfall getting 2 4/4s. Okay. Gelatinous Genesis. Put 2 XXX oozes, right? Azuri's Predation. I'm pretty sure I didn't pronounce that correctly. Now, this one I'm curious about, though. How does this work? For each creature your opponents control, you create a 4/4 beast creature token. So we're getting 2. Each of those beasts fights a different one of those creatures. So the rule here states that each of the beasts have to attack a different creature, and but we've got double the beasts that they have creatures. So does the double set just sit back, or do we 2-on-1 every creature? Help me out. Let me know. Honored Hydra. It's a different kind of token maker. Yeah, it's got to die, but you can embalm it for you get a 6/6 trample for 6, or you can embalm it for 4 and get 2 6/6 tramples that are white now. Living Hive. You want to talk about, yes, it's an 8 mana 6/6. We had to reach in the Wayback Machine here. This is a hatchery right here. That's right. The hatchery. Spared no expense. But when Living Hive deals combat damage to a player, put that many 1/1 insect tokens. So it has trample, so that lets you get through. It is 6/6, it's a big body. But we get 2 times the amount of green insects. Yeah. Silver and Offering is finally good. Because it's not parity. We get upside. We get double the tokens. We get double the big tree folk and double the elf warriors. Elves here again. I was just thinking of tokens. Now, Followed Footsteps. follow footsteps at the beginning of your upkeep. Now, it really took me a lot not to put a Paradox Ace in here, but just for this one card, I didn't feel like. So, what are we following footsteps? I mean, it could be the Acidic Slime. It could be the Reclamation Sage. More than likely, it's going to be, yes, again, the Baul Visionary. I know it's 2 Baul Visionary decks back-to-back, but it just happens to work that way. And yes, there's the Rite of Replications, because you know it's in there. I completely skipped the card draw category, didn't I? Okay, so we have got, here again, it's Simic. It's pretty close to the same card draw as last deck. The Growth Spiral, Coiling Oracle, Concentrate. The Eureka Moment is the... so we've got 1 at 2 now, 1 at 4, and 1 at 5 to draw cards and play additional lands. So I'm kind of wondering where the 3 is going to come in at. Yeah. Tatiova, Rites of Flourishing, and the big one, Collective Unconsciousness, because I anticipate having a ton of little tiny insects, whatever, elves, just a whole bunch of, tiny creatures. So that's going to help us, draw a ton of cards. And since they are going to be tiny, Biomass Mutation is going to help them become not tiny, as well as the Overrun. Now, a few new cards here. I like the Crafty Cut Purse because tokens are a popular strategy. If somebody else, because it has flash, that's what makes the whole card work. When it enters the battlefield, each token that would be created under an opponent's control this turn is instead created under your control. So they don't get the tokens they thought they were going to get. You get double those tokens. So if you've got that Sylvan thing where you and I... yeah, it's rude, but I like it. Curiosity Crafter. You have no max hand size. 3/3 flyer for 4. Okay. Whenever a creature token you control deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Maybe I should have put Psychosis Crawler in here. Oh man, put a Follow Footsteps on a Psychosis Crawler? As much... Ooh. Somebody make a note of that in the comments so I can pin it for the refit when I come back to do the deck in a couple of years or whatever. Anyway, I have a Leyline of Anticipation mainly because I don't have the Valdakan Ori. It's essentially the same card. In this deck, if you're playing blue, it's pretty close. The odds of getting it in your opening hand are pretty slim, but, what is that, 7% chance? Double Major. Funny story about Double Major. I built this deck, as I build most of my decks, in stages. I'll get it and do as much as I can, throw it in the box, put it up, go on to the next deck. If I get to a Builder's Block or whatever, and then I'll come back and revisit it. When I went to Architect to list the deck, I had 2 double majors. I had double majors. I thought it was funny, so took it out and put in something else. The next card is what I put in. Anyway, double major, copy target creature spell you control. And then the second one became Decisive Denial. Counter target non-creature spell unless it's 3 or target creature fights. So, very good split on the blue ability and the green ability. But then we have, Etherize, Return to Nature, Negate, and Beast Within. Now, I'm not above Beast Withining my own thing to get 2 3/3s if it's something I don't need. Or if somebody is trying to steal my commander. If they control... I'm not going to hit the control magic. I'm going to hit the commander, so I get the double beast. Double beast. Double. Anyway, that leads us to our non-basic lands, which is Quandrix Campus, Simic Guildgate, Simic Growth Chamber, Woodland Stream, Vine Glimmer Snarl, Evolving Wilds, Command Tower, our pair of falls, Thornwood Falls and Rhymewood Falls, Remote Owl and Terramorphic Expanse. Is that the first deck I didn't put a Rogue's Passage in? I just now realized that. You build so many, you don't. I mean, I do the best I can when I build, but going through so many decks, so many cards, it is just hard to remember everything. I don't use EDH Rec as much as I probably should, because there are times when the idea gets in the mind and I just go with it. And yeah, I realize some of them would probably be better if I had gone and checked EDH Rec and what am I missing. Sometimes I do if I'm builder's block. You know what I'm saying. Anyway, that is $6.95. I can't wait to play this one. I will probably play this one tonight, just because I'm super excited about it. It's Friday currently when I'm recording this, so we're just a few hours away from me playing some CODs, and hopefully I'll, do well with it. But that is what I have got for today. I do appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think, and we're gonna shuffle and cut.